Okay, we got our speedo all installed, all buttoned up. We are a tad bit close to our new high-low beam switch, but I'm pretty confident it'll be okay, because like, how often do you really go to high beam anyway? You know, if it's foggy out or something like that. But I sat on the hard frame and I'm able to work it, no problem, so I'm not really concerned about that. We're going to need to plug in our speedometer, because we do want to have a speedometer, and this is the pickup wire that comes off of the transmission. So we'll just go ahead and plug that in right here. If we want to change the routing or do something different when we get to the part where, before we put our gas tank on, we're going to try to tidy some of this wiring up, put some zip ties on the frame. Welcome to Saturday Sportster. Woo! Let's get going here. Okay, so one of the other decisions we needed to make on our little Saturday Sportster project going on here at Lowbrow Customs was we need to pick a gas tank for this job. We decided a long time ago that we really do want to have a Sportster gas tank, not some different style on this bike, even though we have our adapter kit where you could put different kind, like Frisco mount or something of that nature. We wanted to do a traditional Sportster tank. And there's a couple reasons, we'll show you why. And one of them has to do with the cool tank graphics we're gonna be doing on here. But at any rate, so I went to the shelf and I grabbed a stock style Sportster gas tank. And that would be this one here. We tried it on the bike and we kind of liked the way it looked and we were pretty happy with that. And then next thing that happened was our seat showed up. And when we put this seat on the bike with this gas tank, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing. The tank just looked kind of small. So, and the other reason is because of where the fuel valve is. So if you have a traditional style tank with your fuel valve on the left and you relocate your coil and key switch like we did on this project, there's not going to be any place for your fuel valve to go. It just won't work. It'll run smack dab into the switch. So we could have probably cut this off and welded it shut and modified, but we're trying to make this easy for you at home. We want you to just be able to bolt some parts on your bike and go for a ride. We don't want you to have to do a bunch of welding and fabrication on a simple project like this. So the answer was two things. Larger capacity, looked better with the seat, and guess what? Fuel valve on the right. We're going to double check that in a few minutes here. We'll put our fuel valve on and we'll make sure we have adequate clearance to the carburetor. And this tank just looked way better with our new seat. Incidentally, this is called a King Sportster tank. It is larger capacity than stock. If that's what you're looking for on your stock bike and you want to go a little further between gas stops, we have this available on the website. So let's go ahead and before we put it on there, we'll go ahead and put the fuel valve on there to check for clearance to make sure that I'm correct in my way of thinking about using this tank. These tanks will come with a mounting kit. I just happen to have some extra parts hanging around the shop here and I had already installed them before we started filming here today, but you're going to get these rubber grommets that are very easy to install. You're just going to shove it in the hole there and make sure it's all the way in, and then you're going to have a metal kind of top hat looking washer that goes in the hole too, and then it comes with the proper mounting bolts. You're going to have a long one for the front, short one for the rear, so we are going to use those. And let's go ahead and put our fuel valve on. I've chosen this valve right here that we sell on our website. This company is Golan Manufacturing. And as you can see, this is a high quality, made in the USA valve. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with inexpensive valves, but at the end of the day, I like to spend a couple more dollars on a high quality valve that's going to function for a very long time. And incidentally, On the back of this valve, it says, limited lifetime warranty. If this petcock fails to perform by leaking, sticking, or not shutting off completely every time, we will fix it free of charge forever. That's worth the extra money right there in my book. But this is a very good, you people out there in YouTube land probably have heard of Pingle. I think this valve is as good as or better than a Pingle any day. Nothing against Pingle. I like Pingle too, but these are just a really super nice, high quality valve. Does have a reserve feature. And we're just gonna pop it on there. We're not going to adjust it or tighten it at this time because it is gonna come back off for paint. So we're gonna pop it on there. Look at that detent on this valve. Oh, it's so wonderful, just beautiful. Okay, so that'll be good enough to check fitment. Let's go ahead and pop her on there. See how if she clearances. All right, the length on that bolt in the kit is looking just right for us. All right, I'd also like to mention another very important thing about replacing a gas tank on any motorcycle, not just our project bike here. It is imperative that you trial fit your gas tank before you send it to your painter. Because if something doesn't fit right, now's the time to address it. Yes, this tank is designed for this year and model. Do I want to make sure it fits properly? Yes. Do I want to make sure that my fuel valve has adequate clearance to the carburetor and everything's going to be good on the motorcycle I'm using the tank on? Absolutely. And last but not least, you should always pressure test any new or used gas tank that was never on your motorcycle, and now's the time to do that when it doesn't have fuel in it. We're going to have another tech tip video on our YouTube channel on how you can pressure test your motorcycle gas tank. One of the first things I noticed right out of the gate is, gee, there's kind of quite a bit of slop in the front mounts. So I'm probably going to put the nut on and tighten it down and pull it together and see if that's going to work, or do I need to maybe bend these tabs just a little bit? You know, and this kind of stuff is not unusual for an aftermarket part. It may not fit exactly the same as the stock part. So, I did feel under there, and it feels like we have clearance. Let's have a little visual going on. Oh, look at that. That's going to be just right. And obviously, I've got my outlet facing the wrong direction. It will be like this when it is installed, and we're going to run just a very short line from here to here for the fuel, and it'll be perfect. Look at that. We got plenty of clearance with the right side fuel valve gas tank. You may have noticed that really nifty gas cap I had on both gas tanks just now. That is the Lowbrow Customs competition gas cap. Here we have this in aluminum, and also we have it in black. Well, since I'm doing this bike in black, I'm going to be using the black one. So we can go ahead and take that out of the package now and stick it on there just for the heck of it. And this is a satin black finish. It is not gloss black, if that's what you're wondering. Available on the Lowbrow Customs website all day long. Nice high quality. Clicks just like a stock cap. And it says fuel on it. Look at that. So there's no mistaking what's going in this hole. It's not water, it's fuel. Okay, great, awesome. Woo! One other thing I want to talk about right about now is, now that we're talking about the gas tank, I got this package in the mail one day from Belgium. And what this is, it is a set of nifty tank decals. The name of this company is Rust is Gold. We're not going to reveal the decals at this point in time, but I just wanted to give a big shout out to my man over at Rust is Gold. You want to check out his website? It's shop.rustisgold.co. Check it out. He's got some cool stuff on there. You'll probably figure out what I'm going to do here, but that's okay. You'll see it at the end of the video. if you haven't been on our website lately, you need to get on over there to lowbrowcustoms.com because we have added a ton of new parts lately. I don't even know how many new parts, but there's just a bunch of new parts. We got a bunch of new exhausts, and we also have a bunch of new seats. I know, you were just hoping we were going to get new seats, and I was too, because here's the seat we got for this project. It is made here in the US of A by Saddleman Seats. It was on back order. We did finally get it, and we're going to reveal it now. This is an American company. They're not an inexpensive seat. They're not too expensive, but they're not cheap. It's not a cheap seat. It's a very high quality seat, and I think it's going to be a good seat for our Saturday Sportster here. Let's take it out and have a look at it. This seat is called the Americano 2-Up Tuck and Roll seat. Let's check it out. Oh yeah. That's some quality there. It's going to have the proper tab to go to your 03 model, up to 03. And I see, oh, it has a note here. Remove, rotate, reattach, and install. It looks like they just want me to turn the tab around. They must do that for shipping purposes. But let's talk about seats real quick, just for a minute. All seats up to 03 are going to have this on the frame. I get this question where people ask me, well, I really like that 2004 seat. Why can't I put it on my 2003? And the reason is this. If you look on your 04 and up model, you're going to see something that looks like this attached to this, where it's got a slot on the frame so it slides into. So no, you can't put a 2004 and up seat on a 2003 and below Sportster. Not going to happen. So find a seat that fits your bike. It makes life much easier. This is a real tight fitting seat on that front tab. That's a real good thing. That's it. And that's the seat. Look at her. That looks like it's going to be real comfy. Let's try it out. Oh yeah, baby. We're going to like this. Heck yeah. Brap. All right. So the other cool thing about getting our seat finally is now we can get our rear fender mounted. We're going to be using this universal Sportster rear fender. You may notice there's no holes in it. We're going to have to drill them. So it was important that we had the seat on first because we want the fender to ride right up to the seat. And if we would have mounted the fender before we tried the seat, there's a possibility it could have ended up looking like this. And that would have been pretty darn silly. So what we're going to do is and incidentally, if you look underneath the fender, you'll see that there's a stiffener plate with 3 holes. And I'm assuming that would be the rear of the fender because those 3 holes probably match up with a taillight mounting thing. So this is going to be the front of the fender. This is going to be the rear. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get it up here. We're going to position it where we like it. And then we're going to carefully mark 4 holes. And then we're going to drill it out and we're going to bolt it on. And once we get the fender mounted, then we can go ahead and we're going to be running a tail light on the rear of the fender. And we'll do that next. And then we'll be ready, just about ready to send our fender and gas tank out. And we're going to have them powder coated. We're going to powder coat them black. Number 1, we're going to save money on powder coating. Number 2, it's going to be nice and durable. And number 3, we're not going to have to wait 4 months to get our paint job back. Powder coat gets done very quickly. I don't see a problem with powder coating this. We may smooth it out just so, obviously it's got a tiny bit of rust on it from sitting here in the shop, but we'll clean that up and we'll make sure she's smooth and we'll get her powder. We'll make, maybe run a file over the edges. And I think it'll look just fine powder coated. This fender is going to mount in 5 places. 2 on each side of the strut and 1 here in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hold this up here. I'm going to have my helper Clayton here, one of my fellow employees here, is going to come over and hold this up where I think it's going to look good. And then I'm going to pop the seat on to see how that's going to look. And then we'll pop the seat back off and we'll scribe the fender and probably drill this hole first, because that'll help hold it up while we mark the other holes. So I think it's probably going to end up right about somewhere around there. Clayton, if you could hold that up for me, please, kind sir. And then we'll pop our seat on just to kind of see where we're at real quick like. Oh yeah, that looks like it'll be a good spot. And a lot of times on seats, sometimes you have to pull the back down to meet the fender. This one has a real nice contour to it, so it looks like it matches the fender nicely. So I think we can go ahead and I'll take the seat back off. I'll go ahead and scribe a mark. We'll drill that first hole. We'll put a bolt in the front to hold it, and then I'll have Clayton hold the rear while I scribe the rear. And you can use a Sharpie if you want. I don't think a Sharpie is going to reach through the holes on this strut, so I'll just go ahead. I've got a scribe right here. Let's kind of get it even where we like it. Here, come forward just a skosh. Right about there. Hold it, please. And then we're just going to take this and we're going to scribe a mark on there so we know where to drill it once we pop it off. Okay, thank you, sir. And there's our mark. And it looks like, boy, we did a good job. We got it darn near right in the center. No problemo. All right, since I can't find a center punch in my toolbox, imagine that, we're going to start with a smaller size instead of going straight to the hole size. And that's also not a bad idea, even if you do have a center punch. So we want to get this close to the middle as we can. No problem, we didn't need a center punch. But if you want to use one, that's okay, you can do that. All right, now that we have a pilot hole, we'll go ahead and move on up to a larger size. That takes a 5/16 bolt, so we'll go straight for that one. And okay, if you have a deburring tool, that's great. If you don't worry about it. Hey, we did a pretty darn good job of getting that in the center for just eyeballing it. All right, we got our first hole drilled. Clayton, hold her up there. We'll get our bolt in there. Oh my gosh, we got tons of room under there to work. Might have something to do with those extra long shocks we got on there. Now, see, we don't want to rely on just that. Now, we've discussed this, and I think if you look at a stock Fender, you're going to see just a little bit of overhang on the bottom here on a stock Sportster, kind of like that. I've decided I'm going to run it so that there's no overhang whatsoever. I'm going to get it, okay? So, my scribe. Now we're going to look at it at least 3 times before we mark it. We want it to look straight, even, same on both sides. Rear end's drooping down here on this side, Mr. Clayton. See it? We kind of got to split the difference there, because we have to have enough meat on this. Bring it down just a skosh right there. Hold it right there. Okay, feels like the same amount right there. Maybe down just a little bit right there. Perfect. Hold, please. And then the other thing we can do when we take it back off is we can compare where our marks are from side to side, as far as from the edge of the fender up to the mark, to make sure it looks even. All right, gonna mark the back one real quick here. And I'm just got a pick, sharp little pick, I'll stick it in the hole and give her a little whirligig motion. Okay. Go ahead and we'll pop the fender off now, take a look at our marks and see where we're at. Okay. What do you think, Clayton? How's she look?
It's scribed, but
it's not even? All right, so I went ahead and double checked that my marks were in a similar location from side to side from the bottom edge of the fender. And then I went ahead and we scribed us a line. And now we're gonna go ahead and wing it. Once again, this is where, oh, son of a gun. Don't be silly like me. This is where a center punch would have definitely been handy, but I can plainly see that I've got it on my mark. Now, we have to make sure that we get the other side in the same location. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish drilling these 2 holes, and then we're gonna put it back on again, and then we're gonna rescribe the front ones, even though we have a good mark, because it may have changed just a little bit. So we don't wanna drill all 4 holes and put it back up there and go, oh gee, now this one's this far away from the hole. So, not a big deal. Woohoo! Doggies! Didn't learn your lesson last time, did you? Okay, so let's get her back on there with our 3 bolts, and then we can add 2 more. All right, how did we do on the rear? Let's check. I got a couple of temporary bolts here. We'll probably get some nice shiny ones from our friends. Well, that one went in pretty good. All right, you may step away from the motorcycle. Hey, we did all right. Look at that. Now, I did notice just now that it's kind of pulling the fender this way, so I think we'll just throw a wrench on here and snug those up real quick so that when we mark the front ones, we'll be good. I guess technically we could just run the darn drill bit right through the hole into the fender and be done with it, couldn't we? We're not going to worry about drilling into our tire. Look where it's at. Woo! That was fun. That was really fun too. Okay, I'm pretty confident those holes are probably going to be in the right place. Right about now you're thinking, gee, where did this guy come from? All right, let's find a couple more bolts. Well, now that we got the fender mounted, snugged up all the bolts, we'll go ahead and pop the seat on and we'll drill a hole for bolting the seat down. And we'll also see how we did on our fender mounting to see how our seat looks, so see if everything's okay. And oh yeah, look at that. Boy, that's a nice fit. I'm pretty happy with that. Get that centered. And you don't have to do it this way, but I'm going to, because I was looking through my junk drawer and I found the official Harley-Davidson method for a rear seat. Early bikes, they actually had a nut welded to the underside of the fender, and if the thread stripped out, you were in trouble. So then later year, they put this little insert chinga where all I'm gonna need to do is drill a hole, pop it in, put the plastic clip. That way, if these threads wear out, you can take this insert out and replace it very easily. Harley fender seat nut kit. Woo! So let's mark where we're gonna put this. We'll measure that and we'll drill a hole. All right, since this is easy to get to, we'll just use a Sharpie. And they make this slot. I don't know why they have to make that so large. Let's make darn sure we've got our seat all the way on. And then we're gonna line this up with the center. which is this weld seam. And then I guess we'll just put it right in the middle. Okay. All right, here's what the Harley kit looks like. Once again, you don't have to do it this way. You can just drill a hole in your fender and put a bolt in it. But you know, I'm going to do it this way because I have the part. So it's going to go right there. What we're going to do is we're going to have to measure, because since this is going to stick up and then this little plastic clip slides on, so I'm going to measure the outside diameter of this, and that's what size we'll make that. Whoa, Nelly! And that, my friends, is why you should always tighten your chuck in all three places. Now, I must not have had it on the flats on the drill bit. It'll be all right. So I got my rat tail file here. And we're gonna make, oh, you know what we should probably do, gang? We should probably make this quite a bit larger than we need to, because once they powder coat it, then we'll have to file the darn powder coat off it. So let's give it a little extra. Okay, there, that part fits now. Now we're gonna have to make this little shape, and probably what would be the best plan of action if I had a chainsaw file. It's like a real small round file, but since I don't, I've enlarged the hole a skosh, and I've used this other half round file to make the slot. Once again, I'm making it a little bit larger than I really think it needs to be. I've got it to the point where I think I'm ready to try it and see how it works. Okay, that seems to go pretty well. I'll put the little clippy on there, and oh, would y'all look at that. There we go. And the little nubby keeps it from turning when you're putting the fastener in. So, and also there's like that sticking up so the tab on the seat sits on it. So, let's see how we did. Well, that looks pretty good. And I found this little doodad here in my junk drawer. There we go. Look at that. We got some bling on her. Okay. Seat's done.